Hello, everyone. Today is episode 4 in our Unbridled Unity series. And just to recap on what this is, it's talking about the relationship between our horses and ourselves and the roles that we play to create a cohesive partnership. The human has 4 responsibilities, and the horses have 4 responsibilities. And so the first 4 episodes have been about our responsibility in the partnership. And in this partnership, it's a 51-49. 51% is us as the leader, and 49% is them as, we can call the follower, or as our partners, whichever feels comfortable for you. So the first episode was harmony, which is basically talking about the need for us to behave like partners instead of like predators, which is really hard for us at times when certain situations come up. Our nervous system is automatically triggered, and because we're predators, when we get worried and have fear, we grip. When horses get worried or have fear, they want to freeze or flight. So that first responsibility is learning to manage your emotions and manage your physical body so that we don't get to predatory behavior going on. The next one is mastering the art of balance, meaning if we can be balanced in everything that we do with our horses, in the way we move, in the way we think, in the way we ride, in the way we handle our ropes, in the way that we handle them, it is much more comforting for them and really lets them know that we are truly their leaders. The third episode was through the horse's eyes, which is seeing through the horse's perspective. And it's not just their eyes, it's how do they see the world, hear the world, engage in the world, feel the world. They're such sentient beings that all of their sensory awarenesses are super developed. And so the more that we can learn about that and be more like that, the more that they truly believe we are their leaders. Today is the power of focus. And this is a they're all very important, and I don't know that one is more important than the other, but the power of focus plays in all areas of our lives. And what do I mean by the power of focus? Well, in order to have the power of focus, it's not like lasered eyes, because they certainly don't like that. It's being focused on what we're doing, what I'm doing, what the horse is doing, what we're doing as a team. Being focused on the plan. Whenever we go out to do something with our horses, even if we're planning on just a day of undemanding time, that's a plan. And we need to stay focused on the plan. Now, being focused on the plan means we also need to be willing to be flexible, because we're working with another living being. So we never really know until we get there and we get going how that day's gonna fold out, how that plan's gonna unfold. And we need to be willing to adjust to meet the situation, adjust to meet the horse that you're seeing today. Our horses, like us, they're not in the same mood every day. You know, when we go to do something that we've been working on, every day is different. They may nail it one day and act like they have no idea what you're asking them to do another day. So being focused on yourself, where are you mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? Is your heart open to connect with your horse? Where are they mentally, emotionally, and physically, and do they feel like they're ready to connect with you? Focusing on the plan, focusing on the environment. What's going on around us? What could possibly hinder the success of our plan for that day? What could help it? Like yesterday, I was teaching one of my clients how to work with 2 horses on the ground at one time, leading them around and preparing, 1, so that she can go out and grab both her horses. 2, if there's ever an emergency, boy, it's pretty handy for everybody to know how to grab multiple horses. We live in a fire area, and when there's a fire or an emergency and you need to get horses and you need to get them unloaded now, it's really nice to know how to handle multiple horses. When I used to study with one of my mentors, we would have relays where there would be all our halters hung up the same way in the same space, and depending on our level of horsemanship, we would be given a number of horses. There'd be 150 horses out in pasture. Sorry, my hair is bugging me. Out in pasture, and we, depending on where we were in our horsemanship journey, we were assigned to horses. So one would say 2, and the next person would get 3, and another person would get 4, and the really advanced ones would have to grab 12. And so we'd have to grab that many halters, and we'd have to head out to the pasture, and keeping all our halters in order, grabbing, a halter and grabbing a horse, taking that horse with us, grabbing another horse. And so learning how to handle multiple horses is just a really good thing to know. But anyway, back to her. I was teaching her how to handle 2 of them walking on the ground. So there was a lot of focus on the horses, on her, where they all were, what was going on in the environment. And she wants to eventually learn how to pony from one of them, on the back of one of them. So I was figuring out how to teach her and them to walk, all together in an open area. But when you get to a narrow area, one's got to drop back. And so how do you achieve that? So they had a bridge in the playground. And so when she got doing it really well, then I took her over to the bridge, and she went on with one horse, and the other horse had to drop behind and follow, which was really great exercise for getting ready to get up in the saddle and ponying. But it was really great for her to stay focused on everything that's going on. When we're riding our horses, we need to be focused, again, on ourselves, on our horse and our environment, and where we're going. And I have a lot of people that I work with that will look between the horse's ears and just down in front of the horse's nose, and that's dropping your energy down, and then your horse feels that, and so they slow down and take shorter strides. So the power of focus is to be able to look out on the horizon to where you're going, because that just opens you up. So what I want you to do, you can either do now or you can do later on, is actually do later on. I'd like for you to stand up and walk like across your living room or walk across your lawn, looking just kind of a little bit in front of you down at the ground. And then I want you to turn around, and I'd like for you to put your head up and put your focus on the horizon and notice the difference in your body. And if you can't really get a feel for that, then walk looking out into the horizon And then after about 8 steps, then look down right in front of you and watch how it feels in your body. Because if a horse feels a fly on their back, they can feel when you drop your energy down into right just in front of them between their ears, or if you're way out in the distance. When you have horses who tend to take short, choppy strides, they got more woe than go, or they don't like what you're doing, or who knows what they don't. It's not uncommon when you head out on a trail ride for the horse to go really slow, and then when you turn around, they go super fast going home. So if you pick a spot out, way out, I will literally look at the mountains off in the distance and put my focus like there's a magnet on that mountain pulling me to it. And my horse can feel my energy going out, which makes them want to open up and go. That's playing with the power of focus. When you're doing arena work, which is a lot of fun if you know how to do it. If you're drilling and grilling on getting something right with the focus of it's got to get right, that's not fun for you or the horse. But if you can learn how to use all of these 8 responsibilities that we have in the Unbridled Unity series, it can make it fun. And so when you watch really skilled riders ride a straight line and their horse just as if they were following a line in the dirt, the way that that is achieved is through their power of focus. They are focused on something. I will focus on the far side of the arena fence, or if there's a structure outside of the arena, I will focus and ride to that structure. And I put it right between my horse's ears. So if it gets out of the middle of my horse's ears, I know my horse isn't going straight. That's how you learn how to ride straight lines. That's how you learn, that's how you help your horse learn how to stay on the rail, is that power of focus. When I'm playing with circles or I'm playing with the 8 pattern, I'm always focused ahead of where my horse and I are. I'm going to tell you a little trick. How do people ride perfect circles? Have you watched horse people ride perfect circles? It's not easy to do. The way that you do this, and this goes along, this technique is for a lot of cool things, but I'm only going to share how you use it to ride a perfect circle. I look at my circle as a clock. And so I have 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. And I always start at 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And before I leave, we're going to say for the sake of this conversation, we're starting at 12 o'clock. Before I leave 12 o'clock with my horse, I have already drawn an imaginary line in the dirt to 3 o'clock. And I ride to it. As I'm getting to that 3 o'clock mark, in my mind's eye, in my focus, I have drawn a line to 6 o'clock. And as we hit that 3 o'clock mark, I'm now following, my focus is now following that imaginary line to 6 o'clock. Get to 6 o'clock, focus draws an imaginary line to 9. Get to 9, focus draws it to 12. That's how you learn, and your horse learns with you to ride a perfect circle. Now that clock is a powerful tool for when you're playing on the ground, when you're playing in the saddle, whenever you're trying to get a technique down, like getting your horse to travel rounded on the circle, when you're trying to get them to learn how to put their shoulders out, their haunches in. Any of these things, that clock is pretty powerful. I use it a lot. I teach it a lot in my clinics when I'm working with patterns. So the power of focus, if we can learn to be very masterful at our focus, our horses can feel that we are focused, that we have a purpose, that we have a job to do and a plan to do. And that makes them more engaged. It's when we're not focused, when we're all looking away at everything going on, chatting with our girlfriends on the trail. Don't get me wrong, I like to chat on the trail, but not at the expense of the communication with my horse. So whenever you lose your focus, or if you don't have focus, your horse won't be focused. Why would they? They're your partner and you're the leader. So if you're not focused, they don't feel a need for them to be. And if you are doing any kind of patterns or any kind of like jumping or, hitting marks at a perfect timing in strides, anything like that, when you're playing on the ground with them, if you lose your focus for 1 minute, you will feel your horse, I call it, leave you. You will feel them like lose their focus because they are so tuned into our energy that they feel, oh, she's gone, so we're not working on it anymore. Our horses are very good at being focused. They have to, because their lives depend on it. Where they get sloppy at being focused with us as our partnership is when we're not focused. So they don't feel a purpose. They don't feel any intention coming from us. So they're like, all right, we're not really doing anything but just moving. Or they will lose their focus if we micromanage them a lot. And what I mean by that is, if your horse, you're trying to walk a straight line and you're focused between their ears on something off in the distance, and you're holding them tight so they can't drift to the left and they can't drift to the right, and you're just really, you're not going to let them get off that line, that's micromanaging. And they will tune out. They'll be like, I don't need to pay attention to anything because there's nowhere I can go. Or they'll fight you, if you're being too. But if we tend to micromanage them and not let them make a mistake and then correct them, they will stop focusing on what we're doing. There's no need to stay focused. It's just like, I don't know if you've ever worked for somebody that's a micromanager and they're telling you how to do every single step and they're watching everything you do. You don't really have to think about what you're doing or be focused on what you're doing. You're just kind of like, all right, I can't wait till I get off of work so I can go hang out with so-and-so. I can go see my horse. And okay, now go do this, your boss says. So you don't have to focus. You're focused on their voice. And if you're not hearing their voice, then you're just kind of lost in your own thoughts. Well, the horses will do the same thing if we don't have the power of focus and if we try to micromanage every move they make. I like to let my horses make mistakes so that I can show them what I want from them and then let go and see if they can uphold their responsibility in the partnership. without me constantly telling them what to do. That's really where we're striving with our partnership, is to be able to focus and feel one another. And when I ask my horse to do something and I set them out to do that, and then I go back to what I call neutral, I'm riding with them, but I'm not talking with my hands, or I'm not talking with my legs. I'm just riding. That's neutral. That's the pressure motivates. This would be the release that teaches them they're doing the right thing. I won't do another thing unless they stray off of our focus. So there's a lot of elements to the power of focus. It really begins with us, but I just had a thought of, when we're doing things with our horses, and because they're sentient beings and all of their sensory awareness is so highly developed, that paying attention to their focus is very, very valuable. Because if you guys are riding down the trail or you're working in the arena and you both are together in harmony and unity, and then all of a sudden your horse's focus changes, that's worth looking at. That's worth looking to see what they're focusing on, because something has changed in the environment to catch their attention, and we want to trust our horses and see what they're looking at. So the power of their focus is as valuable, but we as their leaders are trying to keep them focused with us and our intention, our plan, our goals, our activity we're trying to achieve. So you guys, I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section below about what you thought about this video, how you use the power of focus. Did you learn anything from this video? What are you going to go out and do? I encourage you to go out and ride some straight lines, and using that dead center between your horse's ears as your guide that's drawing your line. I would encourage you to walk across an area, looking directly down at the ground, looking out towards the horizon, and then back down at the ground, and watch what that does to the weight of your body and how that feels on your horse. And do that on your horse. Riding down the trail, riding them in the arena, look off into the distance and ride to a mark, like a fence post or a sagebrush, something down the trail, and then drop your energy down and look right in front of their ears and watch the difference in their movement. Focus on your plan. Know what you're doing. Be flexible to change if it needs to be changed. So I'd love to hear how you guys are going to use this. If you had any aha moments in this video. And next week we are going to start the 4 responsibilities of the horse. And the 5th episode is going to be called Unity in Action. And we will then begin, we'll have 4 episodes of what the horse's responsibilities are. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in, and I will see you next week.